Hello, my name is Jaden Gorm, and I am trying to make a board game. This video series is going to be my way of documenting that process. If our game takes world by storm, then awesome! Maybe people can utilize my experiences for their own benefit. And if it just ends up being a project that gets stored away in some storage shed somewhere, then it'll simply be a way for me to look back on what has been a really fun chapter of my life thus far. These videos are going to be as simple as can be. Me versus a webcam. I'm not a producer. I'm no spicy effect editor extraordinaire. Not that kind of thing. Uh, this video itself will just be me describing how I got into this, how it all got started, what I've done so far, and what my motivation is. So this is part one of the process of building Empires of Aether. My full-time job is currently as an honors chemistry high school teacher in the Dallas area, where I just completed my 4th year teaching. As I'm sure you know, we teachers get summers off. Yeah, you got some trainings here and there. Sometimes I have to go to some conventions, that sort of thing. But all in all, you're usually going to get at least a month off, if not then 2 months. And what I usually look for is some kind of hobby or new skill to try to acquire over the summer. I'm a fairly active person. And so I can't just sit idly by, June, July. I like playing games, but I just can't only do that all summer long. So here we go. Enter the year of COVID, and we broke from in-person schooling in the middle of March of 2020. I'm one of the younger teachers in our department, and I was able to adapt to the virtual environment pretty quickly. And I was able, in that time, just in the final parts of that semester, I was able to create resources that were that more than met the needs of our kids at that time. And then, per the language of the district and what I heard from the state as a whole, it was pretty clear that virtual was going to be a huge part of the following year. So my hobby that summer, I took it upon myself to create videos for the entire curriculum. And then, as it turns out, I was going to be a full-time virtual teacher for the entirety of the next year. Youngest guy in the department. It was kind of a no-brainer. And like I said, I'm not a tech expert by any stretch of the imagination, but I know how to turn my computer on, which is more than I can say for some of my coworkers. And so anyways, made the videos for the entire curriculum, which gave me a massive head start on the year. And so then, just a few months into the school year, I kind of ran out of stuff to do, to be perfectly honest. It wasn't that I wasn't doing my job or anything like that. I just didn't have any new things to make. We were bound by certain parameters that the district had us do, and then my stuff was just kind of the sprinkles on top of that. But all in all, resulted in a really good product for our kids. Then we get to the spring semester, and my involvement with those virtual kids grew even more, and so I created some more resources for them. But even then, a couple months into that semester, ran out of stuff to do. So fast forward to March of the spring semester, and light bulb goes in my head. I had a pretty much free afternoon. All my responsibilities were finished, and the idea for this game just popped in my head. And this wasn't a brand new idea for myself. I actually had it several years prior. The thought of an RTS game on a board. I had never personally seen it, and it was at this time I thought I was a board gamer. And by that I mean that I had played games that weren't Monopoly, and I had brought some cool games to my family, and they had an awesome time. As my mom and dad and brothers, all they had seen at that point was games where it's just basically rolling a dice or popping a bubble. It resulted in you moving X amount of spaces, and I thought I was a board gamer. Boy, was I wrong as we dive into this adventure here. For a couple hours at school, I just typed my ideas, what I saw in my head, and by the end of the school day, I had more than 10 pages of stuff just written on a Google Doc. The crux of the idea was that it was a turn-based strategy game that revolved around the elements of nature. One of my favorite shows as a kid, and still is to this day, was Avatar: The Last Airbender. I love the idea of bending the elements around us. And so that was the central theme of the game. And then when I got home that day, I remember my wife getting home at like 9 o'clock that night when she was off from work, and I'm still typing. I get home, 4:30 or so. I type for like 5 hours straight, just continuing to build upon this idea and develop the vision and enhance it, build upon it. and I probably type till like 2 or 3 in the morning. When I get ideas, I fall into them really, really, really hard. I just obsess with them. All I want to think about, all I want to talk about. But at this time, we're keeping it kind of close to the chest. It's just kind of, just a project, just something to toy around with. I don't know what it's going to become. But it was the only thought that I had in my mind for the next couple of days. And less than, I'll say, and this is honestly being generous to myself, less than 2 days later, it was probably, just a day, I had the full game laid out. Right? Not every detail perfected, of course not, but the rough outline for the procedure, instructions, even visuals, all planned out within the first couple of days. I was getting more and more excited about it. I was hesitant to, bring it to people. But what I did was I showed my brother, some of my close friends that, I'm constantly in Discord with, playing games with. I showed them what I was working on, and, they thought it was pretty cool. And so I was, getting more and more excited about it. And boom, we get to the point where I have a concrete product on the table. It wasn't, 2 weeks from then that I had actually ordered a bunch of just generic game pieces off Amazon, and I created a prototype. And I sat down with a few of my closest friends and, my brothers, and we had them actually play the game. The game lasted about 5 hours. Really long. Not what we were shooting for. So definitely not shooting for a 5-hour game here. And there were hiccups here and there, and tracking of the resources and whatnot. As we get into actually explaining the structure of the game, that'll become more clear to you guys. It obviously wasn't perfect, and yet I could see the game in there, hidden in between, their experience there, and I got even more excited. I thought I had something really, really special here. And so what did I do? In those next couple of days, I revamped everything, cleaned it up a little bit, got what I thought was a much cooler, much more succinct, complete product, and I was ready to tell a few people. And it was at work when I'm talking to people that are, close to strangers at this point, but, now through all of this, I consider them pretty close friends. They were some board game fans. Like I said, I thought I was a board game fan, but these guys were board game fans. And one of these teachers in particular, he's an extracurricular teacher, and he was, out of season. And so he's got a bunch of these nerdy kids that don't have all that much to do, and was willing to loan out his class to me pretty much every single afternoon, when everyone has all their responsibilities done. If the district is watching this, we didn't not do our jobs, okay? Once all of our responsibilities are done, I've got these kids in my room, are serving as my first real guinea pigs. And we played pretty much every single day, every day that we could, for the last couple months of school. And oh my gosh, the progress that we made. And it was a blast doing it. I was so excited to, get their feedback, what they liked about it, what they didn't like about it. We took stuff away. We put stuff into it. I was so excited to get, my new ideas fleshed out, created for them. Went home virtually every single day, spent like an hour or two almost every single day, just like creating new stuff, whether I, actually brought it into physical form or not, put ideas on paper, and was excited to show it to them the next day. And so by the end of the school year, we have what I believe, a really solid game. Not balanced by any stretch of the imagination, not balanced whatsoever. But it was a really cool process, just play testing and working with, these kids that were strangers at the time, and these adults that were strangers at the time, but, now pretty good friends. It was just a really, really cool process, a really, really fun process, which brings me to the motivation that I have for spending all this time on this project. Because now it's, we're in the middle of July. I started this smack in the middle of March. I remember it was like the Wednesday before spring break, which was middle of March, and I had the game all fleshed out by Friday, and we tested the game like that Friday, that next Friday of spring break is when I had all those pieces in. Had all the rush delivery shipping on it. So anyways, what's my motivation for this? Well, first of all, I get kind of bored. And I absolutely love and adore my job, and I consider it an absolute privilege to get to do what I do, but I've never told anyone or myself that this is what I was going to do forever. It's never been a reality for me. I always see myself as, doing a bunch of different things throughout my career, throughout my life, and my ideal situation would be, all 5 days of the work week to have a completely different job on every given day. Um, so there's that. It's to occupy my time and explore a certain passion of mine, which is just to create something. Just like in my work, I'll never take someone else's finished product. If you're a teacher, then that they're the ultimate thieves, but that's never been me. I don't feel like I'm doing my job if I'm not creating something myself. Um, so there's that. Selfishly, I love to entertain and I love to create something of mine that can bring people lots and lots of good times for years to come. And inevitably, when I pass on from this life, something that gets left behind with my name on it that people still enjoy. Maybe, who knows? And then I don't think I have the greatest game of all time, but I would love for it to get noticed. And throughout this process, I've actually generated several other ideas that I really want to explore, and I'm really excited to get to that prototyping phase, that testing with strangers phase, that kind of thing. I would love for this to turn itself into a project that becomes many other projects, right? A company that I can get my family and friends involved, and we can just have fun talking about it, because like I said, this has been the number one thing that I want to talk about since March. When I meet people, I want to tell them about it. I want to tell them what I'm doing. And so I would love to, put my name on this project and, let it become many more projects. And then who knows if it were to, become successful and you go big, I absolutely want to spoil my wife, who just smiles at every idea I bring to the table, just always, supports me in everything that I do. So incredibly blessed for that. I want to support my family, of course. Family and those that are closest to me are the reason why I am where I am today. And I'm not saying that I'm in a castle, that I own a bunch of land somewhere, that I'm some sort of lord. No, but all in all, I know I wouldn't be where I am, happy as a clam, with the world in front of me, and the ability to express myself in these projects without them. And so I would love to give back to those closest to me. That's at least the less selfish side of things, I suppose. So that's my motivation for this. But anyways, we get to the end of the school year. We've guinea pig tested this. We've played like 40 to 50 rounds of the game, right? Like I said, game one lasted like 4 or 5 hours, and then we get to the point after all of our changes, our games are lasting between 90 minutes and 2 hours or so, which I think is very reasonable for this kind of nerdy tabletop strategy game. Which brings us to the summer, where preparing this game has been my hobby. I've spent a lot of time creating resources and trying to set the framework for how I'm going to present it to the world. But all in all, I was really reserved in doing so because I was afraid of, like I said, I thought I was into board games. Turns out I wasn't into board games. I'm now into board games and have tried lots of different ones since starting this. But I didn't know what kinds of people were in this line of work, this kind of thing. And when I started this, it wasn't to create something that was going to end up on every shelf. I'm not saying that that's what we're necessarily shooting for, but it's a dream. But I wasn't sure what kind of people were out there. And I've spent hours online watching videos, people making their own games, their projects. I've read this book, for example, and a few others online, top 10 mistakes new board game designers make. And all in all, everything I gathered was that the community was so incredibly welcoming, and that the concept of stealing someone's idea, one, is largely not worth it, and two, you don't have to worry about it because these are good people. And so I'm kind of tired of waiting. It was like, I think the next day after we got out of school, that I submitted for my copyright, still not back. It's a long process. On top of that, everything I've read has said that that's a waste of money. So that's money we're probably not going to get back. And if it does get copyrighted, trademarked, whatever, in the long run, then that's fantastic. But all in all, I'm ready to roll this thing out, and I'm ready to see what the world thinks about it, because I've put a lot of time into it. And so I'm planning on doing a media blitzkrieg of sorts. We've got this YouTube, obviously. I have designed a website on Wix. Like I said, I know technology, but I'm no computer guru. So don't flame me for, building on Wix. That's what we got, right? And we're hoping to roll that website and our various social media. We've got an Instagram, we've got a TikTok, this YouTube. We've got a Reddit page. We've got a Board Game Geek page going. Lots of stuff that I've got posts ready, and I'm ready to just click a few buttons to make them all go out simultaneously. So even this video is before anything even goes live. And so I think we've got some exciting things in front of us. My goal is to hopefully gain and garner some attention from people all over. I'm trying to turn the game into a virtual version so I can get strangers from all over, perhaps out of the United States, to test the game and get their perspectives and their opinions on it, because we're in no way ready to present this to any big group or anything, and I don't even know what we want to do with it. I don't know if I want to pursue producing this myself, or end up presenting this to a publisher. I have no idea what I want to do with this. Like this is my first project of this this sort. It's my first project in this domain of any kind. So I'm excited to bring it to conventions in the area, maybe somewhere else in the country. I'm excited to just bring it to some nerdy dudes around a table in a bar near me, just for them to just obliterate my game, break it open, see what's wrong with it so that I can fix it and create an awesome product that a lot of nerdy people are going to like. So if this kind of thing is interesting to you, we're going to post this series whenever we get updates, news, good or bad. That's what this video diary is kind of serving as. If that kind of thing interests you, then feel free to subscribe to the channel. And if the game itself is interesting to you, then I hope you'll check out empiresofaether.com. Like I said, I'm making this video when the website's not even live, so I'm not even sure if you're watching this that it'll be live yet. But keep your ears perked up, because we're coming at you, world. And I'm excited to see what this story's going to bring me. It's going to be a cool ride.